Hey everyone, how are you? I have important news about Wrexham that you need to know. Two surprising new signings, my friends. Stay with me until the end and I'll tell you all the details. But first, subscribe to the channel and like so you don't miss any updates about the Dragons. When the transfer window closed last Monday, no less than 20 players left Wrexham in recent months. Among the notable names who left were Paul Mullen, Ollie Palmer, and Stephen Fletcher. But it doesn't stop there. With promotion to the Championship, other key players were also deemed surplus to requirements. One of the most recent cases involves Tom O'Connor, a three-time promotion winner, who was loaned to Peterborough United. And shortly after, well past the transfer deadline, Ewan O'Connell's contract with Wrexham was terminated. What caught the eye was the reaction of Ben Foster, former Wrexham goalkeeper, who follows the team closely. He commented on the club's post about O'Connell's departure, "Ewan, what an incredible man. It's nice to see former players showing respect and support, isn't it? But there are still more moves on the way." When the 24-man squad for the Championship was released, 5 players were left out. In addition to O'Connell, Jay Rodriguez, Ollie Rathbone, Andy Cannon, and Danny Ward were all left out due to injuries. This means that, once they recover, some of these players could return to the team, especially Rathbone, who appears to be a priority. Others, like Rodriguez and Cannon, could follow in O'Connell's footsteps and look for new clubs, leaving Wrexham for free. Guys, this one's hot and deserves your full attention. 3.5 years after arriving from AFC Wimbledon, Ollie Palmer's time at Wrexham has come to an end. At the end of August, the 33-year-old striker terminated his contract and is moving on to a new home. And just look how memorable his departure was. In his last match for the Dragons, Palmer scored 2 decisive goals to turn the game around against Hull City, after trailing 3-1, securing victory in the League Cup. What a departure, huh? But why did he decide to leave Wrexham? That's the big question. Sheffield Wednesday even showed interest, and at least 10 other clubs were also eyeing him. However, Palmer explained, in an interview, the true reasons for his choice. According to him, there were 2 personal requirements that weighed heavily. It needed to be a club from the south and, at the same time, an ambitious club. And that's where Swindon Town came in. For Palmer, Swindon is a real club, one that exudes this essence, and after meeting the manager and owner, the decision was easy. Now, it's worth remembering that this departure is also related to Phil Parkinson's choices. Since January, when 2 new strikers arrived, it was already known that there would be excess players in the squad. Palmer and Paul ended up being left out of the 18-man squad. The manager himself explained that the division is tougher, and that there wasn't room for everyone, even though they are good and highly committed players. And as Palmer himself commented, he wasn't able to play in the league this season and admitted that he wasn't at the same physical level as before. Still, he acknowledged the club's progress and made it clear that he holds no hard feelings. And now, Red Dragons fans, hold on tight because the news is simply unbelievable. Wrexham, yes, our Wrexham, spent more this transfer window than none other than Barcelona. That's right, a galactic club like Barca lagged behind the Welsh in net investment. And it doesn't stop there. Other European giants also lagged behind our team in terms of boldness and financial flexibility. Can you believe it? Phil Parkinson signed 13 reinforcements in total, and now his mission is to unite this entire group and transform it into a true championship contender. But hold on, because there's a detail few people know. In addition to the confirmed signings, Wrexham received several offers from intermediaries and agents offering star players, the kind we've seen shine in the Premier League. And look how interesting. Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney even had the opportunity to bring in one of these big names, but chose not to give in to the temptation. The player in question? None other than Nathan Redmond. For those who don't remember, Redmond is 31 years old and has a respectable resume. 276 Premier League appearances and even praise from Pep Guardiola, who once called him a very good player. A proven quality athlete with experience at the highest level could easily wear the Wrexham shirt. But the answer was no. But why this decision? This is the point that shows a clear change in the club's plan. Parkinson knew the squad was already full due to the 25-man rule in the Championship. So instead of betting on Redmond, the manager chose to bolster the midfield in another way, bringing in Lewis O'Brien, George Thomason, and, of course, Ben Sheaf, hailed as the big signing of the summer. In fact, Sheaf was signed on the last day of the transfer window, and many are already calling him the most important signing of the season. And this choice was no accident. Under Parkinson, Wrexham has always relied on experienced players, ready to deliver immediate results and secure promotion. This has worked so far, but the club's owners have a bigger goal: to get Wrexham into the Premier League by 2027. And to achieve that, the strategy has changed. Now, instead of focusing solely on marquee players, the team is looking to build a solid foundation with young players who can grow with the club. Callum Doyle is a great example of this. Another detail: even loan deals, which were previously rare, are now part of the plan, as we saw with the arrival of Issa Kabor. This clearly shows that Wrexham isn't thinking just about the current season, but about a solid future. So, the big question remains for you, following along. Was Wrexham right to pass on Nathan Redmond, an experienced player with an immediate impact, to invest in promising young players and a long-term vision? What would you do if you were the board? And we've reached the final piece of news in the video, and look, this one promises to be a hot topic among Red Dragons fans. Defender Ewan O'Connell left Wrexham by mutual consent after being left out by Phil Parkinson. But he wasn't the only one. 4 other players were also left out of the 24-man championship squad, including none other than Ollie Rathbone. And here's the thing: Rathbone isn't just any player. He was simply Wrexham's player of the season during the 2024-25 League One campaign. But unfortunately, he suffered a serious injury in pre-season. And now, with his exclusion from the squad, everything indicates that this fitness issue is long-term. This raises a huge question: how will Wrexham strengthen? The good news is that there's still a spot open in the squad. This means the club can turn to the free agent market to bring in an immediate reinforcement. And that's where a big name comes in: Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. For those who follow the Premier League, this doesn't even need an introduction. The English attacking midfielder has played for Southampton, Arsenal, and Liverpool, as well as being a member of the England national team. Most recently, he played for Besiktas, where he made 50 appearances, scored 5 goals, and provided 1 assist in almost 2 years. But in August, he was released from his contract and is now a free agent. This means he could join Wrexham without having to wait until the transfer window. And why would this signing make sense? Let's look at 3 main points. 1. Versatility. Oxlade-Chamberlain is the type of player who can play in multiple positions. Early in his career, he was a right winger. At Liverpool, Klopp used him as a central midfielder. But he has also played on the left, as a centre-forward, and even as a second striker. In other words, he would be an extremely useful asset for Parkinson in different formations. 2. Ability to decide games. Last season, Rathbone was crucial precisely because of the goals he scored from midfield. He scored 8 goals in 41 league games, numbers that made a huge difference. Without him, the team loses that attacking edge. And that's where Chamberlain can fit in. In his career, he has 53 goals and 52 assists. He has an eye for goal and knows how to make his presence felt at the right moment. 3. High-level experience. We're talking about a player with 235 Premier League appearances and 51 Champions League appearances. Just a year ago, imagining Chamberlain at Wrexham would have been crazy. But now, playing in the Championship and with a much larger investment, it becomes possible. And what's more, it's worth remembering that Wrexham attempted to sign none other than Christian Eriksen this summer. Of course, his salary at Manchester United was sky-high, but the mere fact that the club made this inquiry shows how willing the board is to dream big and spend to bring in big names. So, fans, I want to hear from you. Do you think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain would be the perfect signing to fill Rathbone's vacancy? Or should Wrexham look for a different player to round out this squad? Leave your opinion in the comments because this discussion promises to be a great one. And thank you so much for sticking around. If you liked the video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell, because we'll continue to bring you all the latest Wrexham news firsthand. Until next time. And don't forget, you're special. Live in love.